nonsense in the chaos. Wicked witches. Trusting the unknown. Welcome to the Nonsense in the Chaos. I'm your host, Jolie Rose. Tonight's interview is an absolute blast. It's so amazing. I met Claire through my friend Joni recently when I was invited to go and take part in a wonderful session called Herd Time, where we were a big group of us and I was actually invited to go there as a speaker. What she does is invites people who are healers and energy workers and just interesting people and asks them to come along and talk about what they're doing. And then they go out and do something that's connected to the horses that she works with. And you'll hear all about her horses. And it's in a place called the Centre, which is in Guernsey. And I had a wonderful time going and talking to the people. Everyone I met there was lovely and made new friends. Some of them were over this weekend and I had a lot of fun with them. And I got to meet her horses and I had a connection with her horse Beanie, a little pony, who was very stubborn and wouldn't do as I was trying to get her to do. And she taught me some really valuable lessons, which we talk about in our conversation. So without any further ado, I'd love to share my chat with you. This is the wonderful Claire Cole and her amazing journey with horses. Welcome to the Nonsense in the Chaos. So I thought, would you be able to tell us a bit about the centre, how it came to be and the kind of work that you're doing there?
Yeah, my goodness, where do I start? So, I trained back in 2019 in the UK with a company called Leap. And I trained in something called equine assisted learning. So my official title is I'm an equine assisted learning practitioner. So I'd loved horses since I was tiny, kind of going and helping out at the local yard and in exchange for rides and things like that. I was never fortunate enough for me to have my own horse when I was younger, so I was always helping out. And then I'd kept horses with me kind of throughout my life, even when I moved from Guernsey over to London. I managed to hunt down some horses, rode one underneath the MI5 building in Vauxhall City, used to ride around Wimbledon and Richmond and all that kind of thing. So I kept horses in my life. Then I met my husband in London and we moved back to Guernsey, and quite quickly I fell pregnant with my first child. So we sort of set up shop here, basically. We weren't really going to go anywhere once we started a family here. I did a bit of working for a friend, did a bit of time working in an estate agency over here, things like that. Then I was like, it's just not working for me trying to manage young children and work for somebody else. It's too much plate spinning. So I wanted to set something up for myself. And at around that same time, I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine who's a GP, and he was saying, when he gets patients who keep representing with lots of different problems, like they're not really getting better, he would often ask them, what made you happiest when you were 9? And the reason, 9 is because the ego hasn't quite landed when you're 9. So you still do what you love, what your soul loves. And as soon as he said that to me, I was like, horses. And horses weren't in my life at that point. And I was like, I've got to get horses back into my life. So I got introduced to a lady, went to meet her, met all of her horses, and met Archie, who you would have met when you came to the centre. And with he and I, it was just like an instant connection. And I started working with him and riding him and forming this bond. And the more time I spent with him, the more time I felt like I was coming home to myself. Because it's like when you have kids, it's a huge, massive shift in life and your identity. And I'd gone from sort of having a pretty successful career working in TV production in London, and that was kind of like my identity. That was how I identified myself. This is what I do and this is who I am. And when you go to dinner parties and things and go out and meet people in the pub and they'd ask you what you did and you say, I work in TV, they'd be like, oh, that's really interesting. Tell me more about it. Then I come to Guernsey and I'm a full-time mum, and I go to a dinner party and they'd be like, what do you do? And you're like, I'm a full-time mum. And then you can see them seeing how quickly can they move away and find someone else to talk to. And you're like, oh my God, like this is new. I haven't had this before. And yeah, so the more time I spent with Archie, I just felt like I started to come home to myself. And I'd heard of equine therapy work. I kind of knew it existed. So I started to have a look around the UK and see what offerings there were. And then I went on a taster weekend with Leap where we did some of the exercises. And I was just like, instantly, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. This is incredible. People were just having what I thought back then were breakdowns in the field with the horses, but obviously it's breakthroughs, right? Just happening all around you, left, right, and centre. So I was immediately like, yeah, sign me up. I want to do the training. So I was signed up really quickly and straight into it. And then it was the end of 2019 that all that training finished. And then we were straight into this really wet winter and then COVID. So it was, this is the worst time in the world to be trying to launch a service. Working outside, torrential rain, and then no one can come and see you, and we're all locked up inside. But then, well, I think it was probably quite good timing in a sense because so many people had kind of had a bit of a breakdown, I guess, experiencing lockdown and COVID and not being able to see people and all this kind of thing. People's mental health was suffering. And then I got chatting to someone from Guernsey Mind, and one of the people came and had a session to see what it was like. And she was like, I love it. And she was chairing the board at that point. And she wanted to offer these alternative service provisions for people. So while she was chairing the board, she offered out all these different things, and I think my service was the first one where they did that. And so they started referring lots of people to me for one-to-ones, which was incredible and quite a long journey. So from 2020 through to about 2025 or 24, I worked with Guernsey Minds and clients of theirs. So that was really incredible. And then things changed, their board changed, what they wanted to do. I had a spiritual awakening, really. I lost my little pony Cherry, whose original name when she came to me was Tracy. Oh, she's a little Welsh mare. She was so sassy. She was so full of like, to me, now she's passed, like what she's left me with is a sacred no, how to honor the sacred no, because if something wasn't right for her, she was like, she had no qualms about saying, absolutely not. That's not a bit of me.
Oh, wow. Tracy says no.
I know. Well, the reason I had to change her name was because, like, people, when clients came and they're like, oh, what's her name? Like, Tracy. And everyone would laugh. And I just thought, it's not fair. Like, she was such a beautiful, special soul. So I changed her name to Cherry, which you're not supposed to do. Superstition says you should never change your horse's names. Bad luck.
Right. Okay.
She very sadly, when she came to me, she had some kind of something not quite right with her lady parts, and it got worse and worse and worse. And it was some kind of cancerous growth that she had. And what was shown on the outside was probably a whole lot worse on the inside. And in the end, it got to the point where she just wasn't comfortable enough anymore for us to be able to keep her going. And it was so hard because it was only that part of her that was affected. Like everything else, she was still quite sparky and sassy, and yet when you have to make the call yourself to have that animal put to sleep, so hard. And they're big. Some people have them shot. I didn't want to have a shot. And then you can give them the injection. So when they give them the injection, like they go down so quick and they're gone. And it's such a visceral, it's a hard thing to go through. And I wanted her to be with the herd, and I wanted to be with her and all those sorts of things. Anyway, then she got cremated, and it took quite a long time for her ashes to come back. And when they arrived back, I couldn't look at them for a while. So I was like, it's like grief's a hard thing, right? And certain things you can cope with at certain times. And when they arrived back, I was like, I'm not ready to look at them yet. But then after a while, I had a look. And so when I had her put to sleep, you can request for them to keep the tail or
Mm.
keep some of the mane or something like that. But I was so shocked by the whole experience because it was the first time I'd ever been present for something like that. I forgot to ask. And so she went off to be cremated, and I was like, oh, I forgot to ask for a tail. And so I remember like crying, walking around like picking up poo, crying, looking on all the fences. Could I find any of her hair anywhere? When the ashes came back and I opened them to look at them, sat on the top was a black mane hair. I kid you not. I'm
Oh,
like,
oh,
how did that survive the cremation? So then
yeah.
that made me look more closely, and it wasn't just the ash you get in the bottom of a fire, which is what I was expecting it would be like. On the top, it was almost like sort of bits of bone, and it looked almost like coral reef. And I started kind of exploring more into it, and there were these little stones shining in the light. They looked like, what's the yellow crystal called?
Citron? Is it the?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. They looked like that, and there was four of them. Kept
Wow.
them. I kept them.
Oh,
And then I went, not long after, I went to see Lucia for an energy session. And I was telling her about that. And we were having the energy session. And she said to me at the end, she said, they're medicine stones. It came through clearly, they're medicine stones. And she went to me, perhaps you're a little hidden shaman. And I was like, I don't even know what medicine stones means. I don't really know what shaman means. But I'm like, okay, cool. And anyway, then it's a long old story. But then through Lucia and some of her circles, I then met my friend Ben, the shaman, who he then introduced me to this training that's been happening in Guernsey. That I ended up going along to the first training, which was called the Four Directions, like a mini medicine wheel, and was just, oh my goodness, like wow, this is like coming home. And it's not like an awakening, is it? It's like remembering. It's like you're you're sort of awakening those memories in your system, in your soul, in your knowledge. So then I started training on the medicine wheel, did the south direction, and during south direction, my other horse, Rebel, he wasn't very well. Just before I started on south direction, I spotted this blood in his tail. I was like, where's that come from? Looked all around, looked underneath, and in his sheath, I saw this growth sticking out, this an ulcerated mass. I was like, oh my God. So then it was like vets and taking a sample and antibiotics and this and that and waiting for the specialist, and all through medicine wheel trying to like, and it's shedding and letting go and everything like that. I had all this going on in the outside world. But the first meditation we did on the first morning when we went down into the underworld, I just started crying because I saw Rebel and I saw him shed a body. And I was really upset. I just started crying. When I look back now, it's because my soul already knew he was going, but
yeah.
my ego, my mind was not ready to let him go. So he went to Liphook Hospital in the UK. He was going to have an operation, but then they did some further explorations and they found a tumour the size of a melon in his pelvis. And they're
Oh,
like, we can't
bless
get
him.
to it. We can't do anything. Yeah. So I lost him, and he is my sacred yes, because he was like, shall we go out, Rebel? Yeah. Like, should we do this, Rebel? Yeah. He was just this twinkly toed, bright, beautiful soul. So that they've left me those two strong archetypes. And very often now, if I'm doing anything meditative, then they'll come through. And I do have Rebel's tail. I kept Rebel's tail.
Yay.
Yeah. So when I do shamanic healings now with people with the horses, and I'll often place his tail kind of on people's bodies, particularly if they need to be, working on how to say yes more and like
Mhm.
let go of fear and things like that. So it's there's always a diamond that comes out of these rough times, isn't there?
That was wonderful. That was all the stuff I wanted to hear. I find it really fascinating. I mean, I just love hearing people's journeys because when people are practitioners, and especially when I can sort of, it feels like it's speaking to me, what they're doing, and the practice is connecting with me. It's such an amazing idea. As soon as Joni told me about it, I just found it so interesting because I am terrified of horses, but I have a huge respect for them and I know how sensitive they are. And so the thought of working and being in a space with horses that are supporting your healing journey. And I think I told you about a friend of mine who she'd had a horse that she like loved so much. She was really close to this horse, and she also had met the love of her life and had this beautiful kind of later life time with this partner, and both died, both passed away, and it was obviously so traumatic for her. And then she got another horse, and every time she started being in her head and thinking about what was going on, the horse would buck her off. And so it was this zen
Yeah.
space that she had to be in order to be able to ride this horse. It was a strong teaching. And she told me this story and said she was maybe going to write a book about it because it'd been such a profound learning for her, that I was just like, oh, that's really amazing. And so then when I heard what you were doing, I was like, I can understand this in a way I don't think I would have done before I'd heard her story.
Yeah.
And I know that horses can tell if you're nervous of them because I experience it myself when I'm nervous of them. But I also have had so many funny experiences now doing walking on the pilgrimages where like a gang of marauding teenage stallions have just come up and like eaten my garland round my head and basically bullied me. It was really funny. They're so full of character. You know, I've met so many
Mm.
lovely horses along my journey. And then also because I meet lots of cows and how different they are and kind of getting to know what these different animals are like and what their kind of medicine is really, what their
Yeah.
character is and what they're bringing. Because cows are so inquisitive and so
Mm.
nosy
Mm.
and they can turn, you know, and can be really scary. And
Yeah.
then horses are kind of more friendly to humans in than that, but they're so powerful and they're not going
Yeah.
to take any shit and they might,
Yeah.
you know, kick you or whatever. So yeah, it's just having respect for these huge, incredible beasts. Just
For
like,
sure.
wow, you got
Yeah.
so much presence.
Yeah.
So let's do the cards. Okay, and so you just say stop when you feel like it's about the right place.
Stop.
Great. Pleasure. That's a nice one to start off with. So that's the Six of Cups.
Okay.
I love pleasure because I am ruled by Aphrodite and she's the goddess of pleasure. So what's your journey with pleasure? What is it that brings you pleasure and what does that mean to you? What's that sort of trigger in you when you hear that word?
Is it really bad to just say horses?
No, but
I mean,
exactly.
they do bring me so much pleasure. I
Yeah.
I can just like you've met Beanie. I mean, you worked with
Yes, Beanie
Beanie.
was beautiful. Tell us
She's
about all your horses, the ones you've got. Tell us about all of them
okay.
because they've got
So
such character.
yeah, well, the first one to come along was Archie. He
Hmm.
is the herd leader, which I love because when he was on livery at a different yard, he was lowest in the pecking order, and even the ponies would chase him around and give him a hard time. And now at home, he's the herd leader, and he's just so you can just see he's just so happy about that. He's so like, I just love life now, and he's an Irish sports horse. He's 20 years old, 16 hands, and he's this really old soul. And when I look at him, I don't even know how to put this into words, but when I look at him, it is like he is a part of me. I see him in me and me in him. Like, I don't know really how to describe it. Yeah. Anyway, so he's a very gentle soul, but he can also be very, he can be quite pushy. And out riding, if he's on his own, he's terrified of everything. And you try and get him to walk past something, you haven't got a chance in hell because he's so stubborn. So he's
Mm,
got all these sides of him. But what he's
yeah.
amazing for is working with grief. And if the client comes that's got grief, he'll almost pin them to the spot and just breathe on the top of their head. And it allows people's emotions to rise up, to come out, things that are all like deeply locked inside. And when Rebel passed, Ben came and said, "Do you want to do a death ceremony?" I'm like, well, I've never done a death ceremony. I don't know what a death ceremony is, but sure, come along. Let's do a death ceremony. So literally like about an hour after he'd been put to sleep, we're out in the sand school with the massage bed and we're doing this death ceremony, and Archie just stayed breathing over my third eye the entire time while I could just release all the emotion, just cry and cry and cry and get it all out. So that was a beautiful moment. for him to just be there and us to support each other. So there's him. He was the first one to come. And then when I moved home, when I brought everything back to home, Beanie and Tracy or Cherry, they came over from Wales together. So obviously I've lost Cherry and we've talked about her, but little Beanie's my miniature Shetland. She's 12 now and she's just, I mean, I can stare
So
at her all
cute.
day long. She's
Yeah,
so
she's
cute.
so
And
cute.
just everything about her is perfection, like these perfect little legs and perfect little hooves, and just I love her so much. And every time I'm out there, she comes wandering up, and we have a little cuddle and a chat and a scratch. And yeah, she's just adorable. And then who came next? Next came Chip. Chip is my fire horse. Chip is the one that is teaching me how to. He's a teacher for me. So he was the first foal I'd ever owned, and he's not been the easiest foal. He's got this sort of side to him that if you're not present, like fully present, a bit like your friend, unless you're present, then I'll have you. It's like, well, I'll bite you if if you're not present, I'll
You're not
bite
paying
you.
attention.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a teacher and he is fire. He's red and he's fire in his personality. And I am, by my astrology, I'm actually an earth horse by my Chinese astrology. So I'm right. If you want to calm fire, you throw earth on it. So I just have to always be totally present, totally grounded when I'm working with Chip. And when we work together like that, we've now got this most amazing bond. And he picks things up so quickly because he's so clever, like with part of that fire personality. So his learning is amazing, but it's like a double-edged sword because they can learn the wrong things as quickly as they can learn the right things. So he's a real teacher, and I think he's going to just be an absolutely cracking horse when he gets older.
How
Not that
old
he
is he
isn't
now?
already. He's just rising 4, so he'll turn 4 in May. I actually sat on him for the first time last week, which was
Oh,
amazing.
wow. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And he
And
was
how long do they
totally
live
cool.
for? I
Well,
don't.
horses, I mean, some Shetlands and things live into their 40s.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I mean, to get into their 20s is good.
Mhm.
Late 20s is great. So it just depends. So you never know
Yeah.
with horses because anything can happen, but you would hope for
Yeah.
them to get into their 20s.
Excellent.
And then after Chip came, have I said everybody? It's Nellie. Nellie's the last one to come.
Mhm.
Yeah, because she came after I lost Rebel. So she was my friend's. My friend rescued her. And it was Nellie was a bog off for my friend. She didn't realise that Nellie was pregnant, and this
Ooh.
big foal, yeah, big old foal popped out called Nugget. And Nellie, she's just the most gentle, sweet girl. She's huge, but she's really like. So I was thinking, oh, big a horse that big that I'm going to be riding. But she's so gentle and so lovely, and yeah, she was a sort of starvation case when my friend rescued her and pregnant and only 2, and my friend's not even sure if she'd maybe even had a foal before that. So
Gosh.
like she'd been through it,
Yeah.
and yet she's got this wide open heart that's so full of love and so gentle and nurturing. Like you just think, that's the way to be, isn't it? Like they don't hold on to the past. So
Yeah. I always said, like, if people get brokenhearted, I'm always like, just keep hopelessly falling in love again and again and again. Never stop
yeah,
doing that because what
yeah,
else are we here for? It's like,
absolutely.
it's
It-
fine. It's just a
yeah,
journey,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
learning.
Mm.
Yeah. I actually know someone whose heart calcified. It was my friend's mother, and she actually died from a calcified heart. And her daughter was just like,
Her
"Yeah, I'm
heart
not
had turned
surprised."
to stone.
Yeah, her
Oh my
heart
God.
literally turned to stone. So we have to make
Wow.
sure that we don't do that. To keep
Absolutely
our
not.
hearts open.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that that can actually happen.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit about what happens in a healing, what you invite the horses to do.
Yeah. So normally a person will come in and meet the herd first of all, see who they connect with, who they want to work with, or they might even have read the bios of the horses before they come and have decided before they come which horse they want to work with. So we'll, depending on the weather, we'll set the bed up either outside in the field or in the stables if it's horrible. And they just lie on the bed, and I'll just do a normal kind of shamanic healing, but with the intention for the horse to come and add whatever they wish to add. So normally what happens is the horse will come in and they'll show me areas where in the body where things are stuck, And then I'll work with the stones and clear away stuck and trapped energy. Because when you're doing the shamanic healings, you work with stones to take away the hoocha. Hoocha is the heavy energy. So the horses come in, and Archie's done some incredible things. Well, they all have, but Archie, I remember one client was on the bed and he came straight over and immediately with his nose just started going anti-clockwise on the heart chakra. And whenever you start working on a chakra, you always go anti-clockwise to open it. So he was just like, let's get that open. And then there was another client, it was a group of 3 people actually. It was like a little workshop where they each had a healing within what we were doing. And so when we went in, I was like, who wants to go first? And I went, oh, kind of open. Archie walked over to one of them and shoved her forward. I was like, well, I guess it's you then. And then he was really working on that person and worked a lot. He lifted his hoof up onto the bed by the person's right knee. And he kept putting his hoof right up there. So I worked a lot like clearing around the knee. Anyway, she reported back the day later that she had been having knee pain and it had gone away.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. We just work together intuitively and I don't force them. You can't force them. So sometimes they might not come and actually put a part of their body on the person. It might just be enough for them to be present and hold the space for the person. Maybe it's too much for the person if they come right in and are all over them. You know what I mean? So yeah, we just work quite intuitively when it comes to those healings.
And there must be a huge amount of pleasure in seeing the impact it has on people's lives.
Absolutely. Because sometimes the insight that you get just from one short session, because not everybody signs up for a whole program. Some people just come for one session and they'll get such profound insight that it will just completely shift the way that they're living, the relationship they're having, or whatever it might be, whatever they're working on. So yeah, that's really cool. Makes all the picking up of shit worth it.
Wonderful. I love that. Excellent. Right, we'll do another card.
Okay.
If you enjoy this podcast, then please consider supporting me on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Jolie Rose. I really love making this podcast. It's so much fun to be back here and to have this conversation with Claire. Just reminds me of how much I love interviewing and talking to people. There are so many fascinating people out there. And the whole point of this podcast is to help us to be okay with the unknown and to give ourselves over to the Aquarius age, which is Aquarius moving into Pluto. We're vibrating into steam and it is scary. And so the things that we've been exploring in these podcasts and the Chaos Crusades and just trying to exercise the muscle to be relaxed with change, to just give yourself over to the process, to surrender and capitulate into steam. And we don't know how to do that. Your thinking mind can't figure that out. We've just got to feel it. We've got to rest and relax and give over to the process of what's happening and trust it. Trust that all will be well. So I trust all will be well. And it's such an amazing journey, this old thing called life. It's fascinating. And what people's realities and these parallel universes, when you explore them, it's a joy and a gift to hear about the universes that are surrounding us. And I love it. And this cacophony that is reality is made up of all these voices, and we all are one. And in the short time that we're here, I want to hear about as many lives as possible, because I want to live as many lives as possible, but I can't live all of them. So to hear people and hear what they do, I'm never going to get round to learning to ride a horse. That's not on my radar. There's so many things I want to do, but that's not on my radar. But I really enjoyed being in the space with the horses with Claire. And so that's opened up a whole world to me that I have access to through Claire's universe, through her inner world, through her reality. And enriching my life, and everyone you speak to enriches your life. It's just taking the time to do it and taking the time to be interested in people. So if you enjoy this podcast, if it nourishes you and feeds you in any way, makes you feel supported or just entertained, and you feel like giving something back, then you can support for £3 a month just to say thank you, which I very much appreciate. Or you can give a little bit more and you can see the videos of the podcast, and all of it just helps and is so appreciated. Every time I see that a donation's been made or a pledge has been made, it makes my day. So if you want to do that, if you want to say a little thank you, put a smile on my face, then sign up to the Patreon. And it means that I'm never going to have to put adverts or anything on this, or have sponsors, or do anything that anyone else tells me to do. I can do all of this myself and keep it completely free and creative in its own way, in its own right. So thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. If you're not able to make a financial contribution, that is no problem whatsoever. If you can tell people about it and share it on your social media and stuff, that would be great. And yeah, word of mouth always goes the furthest, I think. So thank you. And other creative offerings. We have Beltane coming up on Saturday, the 2nd of May. Please come along if you live in the Channel Islands, even if you live in the UK. We have hotel deals to help encourage you to come over. And the weather is looking amazing already. So I think that it's going to be very warm. So you could camp, but there's also hotels and guest houses that you could book. And we'll celebrate Beltane. The whole island's covered in bluebells and three-cornered leek. It's stunning. And we burn a wicker man, and we have maypole dancing, and we have brilliant bands. So many incredible workshops. In fact, Claire's going to be running a space with Shaman Ben, a healing space, the Sacred Glade, doing healings all day long, holding a sacred ceremonial space for people to just drop in and out of and take part in. And I'm so excited. It's going to have loads of incredible healing offers at this Beltane this year. Last year it was all new artists, and this year it's lots of new healing offers. So that's really exciting. Just about to finish Creation Hibernation, and I'm very excited about my book and the place it's got to. And I think it's very close to being ready to be published. So watch this space for that. I will let you know when that's happening. And yeah, otherwise on with the show. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
So we've got the Prince of Wands. So the Prince of Wands is on a chariot. It's actually not with a horse. It's with a lion pulling the chariot. And it's really powerful. So this is kind of like the authority of passion, of drive. So what is it that you're really, really driven about at the moment, and feel like because you've been on a hell of a journey. You know, you've gone from a normal job in TV to, which was an exciting job. You know, that's an exciting job. It's not quite as boring and normal as some jobs can be. But you're now doing something that feels much more aligned, you know, higher purpose.
Yes.
So what is it that's like setting your soul on fire, or how does that feel like? Tell, you know, maybe a bit more about the shamanic training that you've been doing, and just what it is that's opening up for you, making you feel like you're in your throne of power kind of thing.
Yeah. So the shamanic work is life affirming, really, actually, because it opens you up to all the elements, all of the universe, just like everything that's been and everything that is and everything that's to come. Suddenly you're just open to so much more than this little world that you might have previously been living in. And it opens up your energetic field so massively. My work with the horses as a result of doing the shamanic training, it's just so much more impactful and so much more deep and soulful, and the horses really respond beautifully to it. They don't want the kind of coachy sessions where it's all words, and they love the energy and the connection. And we're outside, all of nature gets involved, and the birds of prey and the ducks that waddle through, and the rainbow that suddenly appears, and the wind that blows through. And it's just, to me, there's this thing. There was this guy, and there's a recording that's been going around, and it was like a prophecy that the horse was going to come and it was going to save mankind. And it was this prophecy that had never really been released, and now people have been playing it. And within that, he talks about shamans, and he says that a shaman without a horse is like a bird without wings. And to me, the shamanic work and horses, it goes so beautifully together. So I'm hugely passionate about that. And I love it actually because our teacher who comes over from Sweden, when he says your vibe attracts your tribe, he says your vibe attracts your tribe.
Brilliant.
And I love that. And I'm like, oh, my vibe attracts my tribe. And I have noticed since that I've been doing this, it's people just come into your world like you,
Yeah.
and lots of wonderful, amazing people that I've been meeting through this journey that you just feel like these are good people, like
Yeah.
they're good into the core of them, and are passionate about Pachamama and all of its creatures and the universe, and I've become a lot more interested in what's going on in the skies as well, and listening to people's podcasts talking about what's going up in there and how that's reflecting on down here and all those kinds of things. So yeah, it just opens up a whole new world.
Yeah. I feel like it brings life back to when you were a kid and everything's so exciting. And then you go through this phase as an adult where everything's like, oh God, it's so beige and tarmacy.
Yeah.
I feel like half of adolescence, when people talk about the hormones and stuff, I'm like, the majority of that is actually you realizing how bullshit the world is. It's
Yeah.
like you go from
Yeah.
fairies and
Yeah.
magic to, oh God, are you joking? Is
Mhm.
this it? Is this what it really is? And it isn't. It what the actually the fairies and the magic was more real than the tarmac nonsense that we've made up. It's just that that's the
Absolutely.
play we've made up.
Yeah.
So here's this plethora of possibility, and we've chosen
Yeah.
Greg's the bakers.
Yeah.
That's the choice we made. We could have done anything. Yeah,
Brilliant.
to then bring it all back to, and it is mainly a wonder with nature, a wonder, because I love everything, I love flat earthing, I love all the stuff, like any kind of mad thing that anyone's into, I'm like, brilliant. But with me, with nature, it's like, it's so incredible and magical without having to add extra stuff to it, if you know what I mean. Like, it's just so amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I feel in a sort of is more of a shamanic side of things to the sort of more esoteric spiritual stuff, is that it's more about it kind of, it marries together more with science in a way. This is more like botany, and I want to know how these things work and feel those connections. And the more you observe and get to know an aspect of nature, like horses or whatever it is that you're calling, it's never ending. It's the mistress that just keeps on giving.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking of the majesty of nature, did you see the moon rising last night?
God, and it was so red. It was beautiful.
It's incredible,
Wasn't that amazing?
it?
Yeah, absolutely incredible. My goodness, this eclipse has been so full on. It's been huge. And it's just interesting observing it when you see that it does happen. It's like, that happened. The world has just been eclipsed by this war that's now begun, and what is happening with that. And then, everything on a micro level is just eclipsed as well, and it's mad. You just have to trust the journey of it all, and that it is a shedding. And especially with the Virgo in the South Node, it's about shedding the perfectionism, shedding the getting it right, shedding the sort of know-it-allness of it. We don't know. Reality's just disappeared up its own backside, and we're just going to have to throw everything in the air and just go for it, because everything's kind of all to play for, and we can't trust any of the known anymore, because it's all literally, someone can just look you straight in the eye and say a lie, who's in charge of the world, and you're like, but it's not true. But okay, cool. So that's reality now, is it? Okay, there we go.
Yep. Can only trust your own reality now. That's it.
Exactly. And that's an incredible teaching. I do feel like this is a story that's unfolding. I trust Pachamama, Mama Earth, wholeheartedly. I trust the universe. I trust the process. And in terms of the plot narrative, other than an alien invasion, which apparently is part of the plot narrative now, the only thing I could see that would be transforming us from the comfort of consumerism into a more cyclical, connected and enlightened way of being is through some kind of global crisis like the environmental collapse, which really is what these wars and everything are about. People know that they need to move the chess pieces to grab the last bits of everything, water and things like that. They know what they're doing. They're causing this mess so that they can change the board. That's what they're trying to do. It's like a game of Risk. And therefore, at some point, they all go into bunkers and we all just go feral, or we find a more cyclical way of living, and that would be us moving forward. That's the next step.
Let's go for the latter.
Yeah. And in fact, actually, it's going to be somewhere in between. Things probably won't change that much, but they will change, and we'll go through the winter and the darkness and the despair of it all. But then we will come back into summer and we will have moved forward and things will have evolved, but they're not going to be as crazy and as shockingly different as we can imagine they'll be. We'll have learnt some lessons and, pretty much probably things will be quite similar, just be somewhere further along the line as we were after the last wars and all the rest of it that happens. Yeah. Humans have to keep learning from the same mistakes, don't they? Yeah. So it's just part of our makeup, unfortunately. Yeah. It's the way that we work. Cool, so let's pull the third card. Okay, brilliant. So this one is about surrender. But this is, for me, he's Odin. So the hangman, so like my shamanic journey is more Nordic based and more, I suppose, European based than the South American tradition. I've come from being a Tudorian actor, druid, sort of pagan side of things. I've made up as I've gone along, but I've had amazing teachers along the way that have sort of dropped the direction or ideas into the mix that have made me kind of go, oh, okay, and explore that thing. And quite often it's things that I'm perceiving myself, like noticing already, and then someone's like, oh yeah, that's a whole thing. In fact, dragons, I just listened to, there's an amazing podcast called The Emerald, and it's
I'm gonna write that down.
Write it down, my God, you're gonna love it. It's so good. He's American and he goes on really deep dives into things, and he speaks in a beautifully poetic, it's very bardic. He's amazing. And he just went into this big bardic reveal about dragon energy and the serpent and what that is, and it was everything that I've experienced from pilgrimage. It's what the earth has been teaching me. And so it's like, nice. It's really good to hear it, because you're like, yeah, cool. Yeah. So the hanged man is Odin. Odin hung from the tree of life and then found the runes in the roots of the tree of life and then brought the runes back, and he hung from the tree and died and came back as a god. And so there is the shamanic journey of sort of that near death, or like just losing yourself and then surrendering and coming back. From what you've been talking about with your surrendering journey is the grief, going through the grief of the horses, and it's reality shifting. So yeah, what's sort of opening up for you in terms of reality shifting? Because I think that's so key for what's going on in the world at the moment, for the age of Aquarius and everything, and the fact that reality has disappeared in a puff of smoke. It's like, what's that experience been like for you in terms of shedding and surrendering into something bigger?
So South medicine, the serpent medicine, is all about shedding. So for me, I got some really big lessons within that time period, obviously losing Rebel, but other lessons as well, because you work on your own stories and things like that when you're going through the training. And for me, it was this thing with when Cherry passed, because I was like, oh, could I have done more? I should have done more. It's my fault. I didn't recognize this. I didn't recognize that. But I'm just making up these things, giving myself a hard time. And then the same with Rebel. It's, if I'd done this, what if I'd done that? Blah 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 blah. And I had to just keep coming back to my own truth, my own reality all the time, checking back in. What is real? What am I just making up? What am I giving myself a hard time based on old experiences? And it was about realizing that we're all on a journey. We've all, if you want to believe this, and I think I do believe this, that we've contracted to come down in this life, in this body, to do certain things, to learn certain lessons. And every other soul, and animal or human, is also on their own journey. And so all you can ever do is be secure and centered in your own energy, and be able to just be an energetic support for people that you love, and animals that you're a guardian of. And you can't ever fix things.
Yeah,
As
totally.
like, we're all made to feel like we got to fix this. And even like with what's going on on the global stage, and everything about global warming and the other, we're made to feel, individuals, that we should be carrying the burden for that. But it's not us as individuals, it's the people at the flipping top making all the billions and billions of money. Why is so much load put onto us that it's like our responsibility, all of it? So it's about shedding all of that and just coming back to, you can only be responsible for yourself and your own energy. And actually, if you're here to just be vibrating at a high frequency, because that is going to benefit the earth and the people and the animals around you, then that's enough.
Yeah, totally.
That's enough.
Absolutely. It's the thing I keep saying, make your pixel better. Do something with your
Yes.
pixel, and then the picture will change. And with the eclipse that's just happened, that was absolutely about shedding, like trying to control or keep hold of or grip onto any of this stuff, because it's going to just keep happening. More and more crazy situations are going to keep unfolding, and we can't like pretend that we know what's going on and or are going to do things perfectly the whole time. It feels like before, like 90s, early 2000s, I was right in the forefront of kind of activism, and was going to protests, and felt like I was part of the fight of whatever that thing was. And it's not that that's not there in me still. It's absolutely there, but we've got to fight in all directions, and that is connecting with your community, helping where you can, doing whatever you can. This eclipse is something's blown up in the world around me, and then I'm slightly connected to it in an official level, and I've got to just accept whatever it is that is unfolding. Like, if it turns out that if there was mistakes made, then I've got to take responsibility for that. I know that nothing was ever done with bad intentions, and trusting with all of the people involved in the situation that was the case. And we've just got to go with the flow and be better. Do what you can to improve and be better in the future. But it's okay. It's like, it's okay.
Some things are just meant to happen. Like, and
Yeah.
you cannot stop them. You can't, as much as you might like to. And it's always the ego mind that wants to, right? I want to fix that.
Exactly.
I want to control that. I want to do this. I want to make that better. But actually, like, when you let all of that bullshit go and you just come back to your center, to your heart, and realize that actually, no, like, that's the, like you say, that's the journey, that's the story. It's how it needs to unfold.
It's what I realized is what power is. People who are hungry for power are people who are scared of surrendering to the process, and they think that the more power they have, the more control they'll have over reality, and they think that therefore they can protect themselves from the fact that they're all going to end up as ash. And it's like, you're all going to be ashes, babe.
Totally.
It's everyone you love.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it.
You see it so much, don't you? It's like, if I have more money, if I have more status, if I'm the top of the social tree or whatever, then I'm safe. It's like, no, you're not.
You're not.
Life will come and bite you in the ass, whichever way.
It
doesn't matter
absolutely
how
will.
much cash you've got, or where you sit in the social tree. It's just life.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
personal.
And it can be ego. It doesn't have to be big catastrophes. It's just, you might have a child that's challenging. You might have whatever it is. You're just going to get challenged, and that's what life's about. And that's why we're here. We're here to have a visceral experience.
Yeah.
So, my last question for you is a chaos crusade. So, what is something that you would recommend that people do to just make them a bit more present and make life a bit more zingy?
Yeah, well, so have you ever listened to any of Pam Gregory's stuff?
No, don't know Pam Gregory.
Oh, You don't know
No.
Pam Gregory? Right,
No.
write Pam Gregory down.
Write Pam Gregory down.
You must listen to Pam Gregory, especially because you love astrology. She's like an amazing astrologer, and she talks a lot about water holding memory. And have you heard about Masaru Emoto's water experiment?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
like how when you're putting your positive intentions into water, and it's a bit like the experiment they did with plants as well, and the ones that were spoken to with love grew much more successfully than the ones that were called horrible names and things like that. So it's the intention that you're putting into something. And I
Yeah.
think in that experiment, they showed the water a sunflower seed, and then they froze the water, and then the water showed them back when it was frozen, not just a sunflower seed, but an actual grown sunflower.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
So,
amazing.
so my chaos crusade is for people to bless their water, because when you put your positive intentions into the water that you're going to drink, and if water holds memory, and we are, what is it, 70% water or whatever we are, might be more, then it's going into all of your cells in your body. So I wrote a short blessing. Would you like me to read
Oh,
it to
yes,
you?
please. I'm
So
actually
you
going to
get
hold
your,
my cup of tea. Yeah, I've
yeah.
got a tea here, Philip. A
So you get
herbal
your glass
tea.
of water, but you just want to really become present. Some nice breaths. And then, Spirit of the water, as you enter my body, cleanse what is heavy, soften what is tight, awaken what is ready to grow. May you carry clarity through my thoughts, peace through my heart, strength through my bones. I drink in healing. I drink in balance. I drink in life. And so mote it be.
Might it be? Oh, lovely.
So do that with your drinking water every day for a week, for a month, for a year. See
Forever.
what happens. Yeah,
Yeah.
see what happens. And if you're a sea swimmer, which I know you are, Jolie, bless the sea before you get in.
So when I swim in the sea, I feel like I'm having sex with Mother Earth. That's my sexy time. So it's like the way
Brilliant.
I can like get in there. It's like I'm getting in, yeah. And then for the solstice, when it's the summer solstice, I always stay up all night. So I'll swim for the sunset and I'll stay up all night and swim at dawn. And I swim with
Oh,
my leg, I'll skinny dip and I'll swim with my legs spread and I let the
amazing.
golden light of the
Ah,
sun come up through the sea and penetrate
ah,
me and then fill me
amazing.
with its creativity.
Nice. I love
I
it.
love sexy
Yeah,
time with nature.
amazing. I've still got my
Yeah.
runes from our
Me too.
yeah. I'm gonna
I had a wand. I had a piece of hazel that just appeared. I don't even remember
ah.
when I found it. And I'd had it on my altar for ages. And then I had a
Mm.
sort of day of creativity around the eclipse. And I just spent a day making little furniture. I make fairy furniture and leave it at a hawthorn tree down the road from me because it's got a yoni shape. And hawthorn's the gateway to fairyland. And so I've just made it into this fairy
Nice.
tree with a fairy door. And all the local kids
Oh.
come and play with it and leave notes there
Oh,
and
I
leave
love
little
that.
treasures there and stuff. That was actually the Chaos Crusade for last week, was to make your own
Nice.
fairy door and to start doing a
Yeah.
fairy door somewhere. But yeah, I made this wand and I used the runes from my journey with Beanie and put them. And actually, I've had such a massive shift
Mm.
through what happened with that. Like, it was my intention for this year as well. And I did a thing with a guy called John last year, where John, who runs the Church of Burn, and he
Mm.
burns money as a
Mm.
spiritual act. And it
Mm.
was a really profound experience. Like, really observe the note. I wrote the serial number down, which you send it to him and he puts it in the Bible of Burn,
Mm.
and it's got
Mm.
all the serial numbers in there. But just realizing how much it felt like an energy shift, and that
Mhm.
this energy had been taken out of circulation. It was kind of like a death, and that felt quite, sad and profound in a way. So it made me feel quite differently about the actual physical notes of money and how they're this transference of energy. And then had the experience with Beanie. And then my intention for this year was the mythos of gold. And it was just like, what is gold? What is this thing? Like, what is it that we're obsessed with? And and then my husband got an inheritance from loved ones who passed away a long time ago, so 10 years ago, that he didn't know had been put into a trust. And so he's then got given this money, which we didn't know he was getting. He knew nothing about it. And then we were going to build a hobbit house, which we were really excited about doing, but couldn't really afford it. It wasn't actually enough money to do that. So there was so many compromises happening that we were like, oh, I'm not really going to be able to do it. And then a house came on the market that's right next to the seniors, so the seniory, and it's 4 bedroom. And now we've got this house, which has just changed everything in terms of our finances, because we're not, we're going to be living in a house where we can do things there, and there's enough space to do things, and everything's just completely changed. So it just feels like a huge reality shift has just happened, where it's like, oh, okay, that happened.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it was what Beanie's lesson was to not necessarily do it the way that you think you should. So rather than like earning more money or being more successful, just through this weird shift that was just the universe doing it, what we're already doing means that that's more money in our pockets, rather than like going on rent to some landlord that's just disappearing. And it's a space that we can do stuff with. So that's going to open up all sorts of things that we've got no idea what that will mean or what that will lead to. But
how did Beanie know that? She knew it was coming.
She knew. That's so cool.
She can get an extra couple of treats tomorrow for that.
Say thank you to her for me. But thank you so much for doing this. It's absolutely brilliant. I knew it was going to be fantastic. Yay. Yeah. Thank you. So that was the delightful Claire Cole. Really enjoyed that conversation. And it's one of the things that I love about talking to people is that they remind you about things that you believe in or that you care about and that are important to you. I think of people as being like external hard drives, because we are all one. And so people are holding things for us. We haven't got time in one life to do all the things. And so it's brilliant that other people are holding those things for you. And talking to Claire and connecting in with her and her energy and how she's going with the flow and trusting the process just made me think about how I've got all these ideas and plans for the future based now on this huge change in my circumstances, which came out of nowhere and means that so many things are possible in a different way now. But what I love is that Beanie showed me, so my 2 runes were abundance, and then my rune, which is the ing rune, the diamond, which is creativity. It's the sperm, so it's the seed of potential. But I love the fact it's a seed as well, because the house that we're moving into is on the main Sark energy line. And I don't know where all of the Sark energy lines are, but there is a beacon tree at the top of this energy line that Gordon Field found when he came over. And it's the valley that the monastery was built on in the 1100s, I reckon. Might be a bit earlier than that. Old. Medieval, but maybe even earlier than that. And so apparently in the garden of the house there's monk ghosts knocking around, and there's the monk's well is just up the hill from us with this pond, and then the valley that runs down to the coast is, I feel and felt before I even really knew any of the history of the valley, that it was the most powerful part of the island. And so to be living on that, it feels like the dragon energy of walking the pilgrimages has led to me coming here. It's led to me meeting Diz. It's led to us getting married. It's led to this suddenly happening and this change in circumstances happening. And now we're going to be living in this place, in this valley, on this energy line that's so powerful that I don't want to predict or grasp onto any ideas of what that means and what will unfold from this shift happening. I want to see what the universe leads me to, because it seems to know what it's doing. And I'm just going to go with the flow, because who knows? And we've got a nice big green space. There's a big garden that hasn't been touched, so it's just free to begin on. We could do anything in that space, and the house as well, but we just are going to decorate it, and we can make things and do things and build things. We're going to be there forever in this valley on this energy line, surrounded by nature. Like, we're in a forest with a river running past, and it's just mad. Like, I lived in Brighton 5 years ago, imagining living more in the countryside and thinking, oh, but I don't drive, I'm going to need to get a van and I'm going to need to learn to drive. And just how things have changed so much. It's crazy, and we just never know what's going to happen. We never know what's going to unfold. And so I'm just trusting the process. I'm going to trust this incredible process and see where it leads me, because it comes up with things way more fabulous than anything I could ever imagine. So yeah, so thank you, Beanie, thank you, Claire, and thank you, my darling listeners, for being here. It's great to be back and to be sharing these stories with you, and we have more fascinating people to come, awesome people to chat to. Can't wait to dive deeper into the nonsense in the chaos. So lots of love, and I shall see thee anon.